Hey, what's up guys? Scott coming back at you with another video here. It's been a little while since I made a video. Haven't had a ton of pickups this month because I'm recouping funds from all the purchases I made last month. Turned out to be quite a few things I needed last month. And so this month's been a little boring, so I'm going to go ahead and make a video that I haven't made before. This video is going to kind of go through my NFL Hall of Fame Packer set. So this is kind of like the best of the Packers PSA cards I have. There is currently 17 cards in the Packers NFL Hall of Fame set. So I'll just kind of go through each one. We'll talk about them. Then at the end of the video, kind of go through a couple more cards that, of players that might be getting into the Hall of Fame in the near future. All right, so we'll start out with Brett Favre. This is the 91 Stadium Club card. Grade of a 10. I think the population on this is like 1,300 or something like that. So this is back in the 90s era where there was just tons of cards produced. Spelled his name wrong, of course, F-A-R-V-E. I remember really wanting this card a lot when I was younger, and there's actually quite a few of these available. Obviously, Favre just got into the Hall of Fame, and definitely was a must pick up. You can actually find these somewhat cheap. They usually go for, you can get one for probably about 100, 150 bucks. Alright, then moving back a couple years, the 84 USFL Reggie White, have that in the grade of a 9. There have only been 4 10s ever graded of this particular card. I think this card's selling up for about 200, 250 bucks nowadays. I think when I got it for about 140, I want to say, a couple years back. Very tough issue on some of these 84 USFL cards to actually find a 10. I've never seen one, and I might not ever see one. If I do, it's probably going to go in the 4,000 to 6,000 range, maybe even higher, maybe even up to 10,000. Who knows? Then we'll go to the 79 Topps James Lofton. A great card. I think there's about like 7 10s of these ever graded. One just sold last week for just shy of 4,000. So that's another one of those $4,000 to $5,000 cards if I went on a 10. With this set here, I'm pretty much at my max for the grades I'm going to get. There's one card I could upgrade if I want to spend about $2,000, but other than that, every upgrade I'm going to do is going to cost me several $1,000s at this point. Here's a 67 Philadelphia Dave Robinson in a grade of a 9. There's only 2 10s ever graded of this card. The pop of this is 35. Just a awesome, nice centered, sharp card. I love the 67 Philadelphia with the yellow borders. And of course, the Packers green and gold colors just works well together. Dave Robinson was actually inducted not that long ago, a few years back, into the NFL Hall of Fame. Going back a couple more years, 64 Philadelphia, Willie Davis. Now this card, I think there's only 2 10s ever graded. Just a beautiful looking card. I could show you the backs of the cards, but I think I'll just, for the length of this video, I'll just stick with the fronts for the most part. And then that same year, 64 Philadelphia, Herb Adderley. Also in the NFL Hall of Fame, of course. A lot of these 60s Packers, there's a lot of 60s Packers in the Hall of Fame. So 60s are very ripe with Packer Hall of Fame cards. Here we have 63 Topps, Ray Nitschke. A lot of people might consider him one of the best Packers of all time. His number's retired for the Green Bay Packers. This card's an 8.5, population of 8, only 11 graded higher, and there is no 10s graded ever of this particular card. In that same year, 63 Topps, we've got Willie Wood in the grade of a 9. This card I picked up a year or two ago from Heritage Auctions. Beautiful looking card. This card is population of 16, only 2 graded higher. Beautiful example of the 63 Topps Willie Davis. Just the image is so good on this card. All right, and then moving on to 61 tops. We have Henry Jordan. This card is a grade of an 8. This one's a tough grade to find. 66, population of 66, 11 graded higher. But of those 11, I think maybe 5 or 6 or 8.5s, and another 5 or so or 6 or 9s. There's no 10s graded to this card. There's actually one of these available right now if I want to spend about 2,000 to upgrade, but just not feeling the need to at this very moment. But I love the look of these 61 cards. If I had the money right now, might go grab that other one. Then moving back another year to 1960 tops, we have Forrest Gregg. Forrest Gregg, player that Vince Lombardi said was the best player he ever coached. This guy's got, I forget how many times he was All-Pro and Pro Bowls he made, but it was a lot. A beautiful looking PSA 9 version of this card. This is a top population card. No 10s ever graded for Forrest Gregg. Beautiful looking card right there. And moving to 59 tops, this card I picked up somewhat recently, actually. Jim Taylor in the grade of a 9. This is not the real Jim Taylor, of course, but it's still considered his rookie card for the NFL Hall of Fame set. But it does say Packers on the back, if you see right there, fullback Packers. This card I picked up at a PWCC auction. Also a top pop card. There's 23 9s graded, none graded higher. And I chased this card for a while. I think I may have lost out on 5 or 6 auctions in the last couple years for this card. And finally I was able to snag one for a good price a couple months ago. So I got Jim Taylor there. And then we move on to some pretty iconic cards. We have 57 tops, Paul Hornung. This card is awesome. Grade of an 8. Super sharp. I picked this up with a few other cards at the time and kind of grouped them all together and spent a huge chunk of money at the time. This Hornung is a population of 79, 14 graded higher. Not sure if there's ever been any 10s graded of Hornung. And also the next guy as well here, who a lot of you guys will know, Bart Starr. Have this one in the grade of a 7. This is a really nice, pretty high-end, I think, example of a 7. Centering's awesome on it. Population of 283, 103 graded higher. I would love to get this card in at PSA 8, but, you know, they're typically going for about 7, 8, 9, 10,000, depending on the day. Usually I think there's 2 available right now, but they're listed for 12 and like 9,500. So if I ever came across a chunk of money, this card I would definitely like to upgrade to an 8, but it's going to cost quite a bit of money. But as for now, I'm happy with this 7. This is a really nice looking PSA 7. Then moving back to a 1955 Topps All-American, Don Hutson. I have this one. You can see the old label there in the grade of an 8. Super sharp card, very centered. Usually you'll see yellow lines in this area here running down. This card does not have that. Population of 103, 22 graded higher. I think there is a 10 or 2 of this card out there. This is another card I chased for a long time and lost maybe 7 or 8 auctions and finally was able to snag one earlier this year. I was really happy to grab this card. Moving back to 55 Bowman. Jim Ringo. This card I picked up probably a year or 2 ago. Kind of a tough issue to find as well. Population of 49, only 4 graded higher, and there's no 10s. I think of the 4 graded higher, there's 2 8.5s and 2 9s. Just a lot of, I don't remember if it was print defects with this card or what it was, but it was very incredibly hard to find an 8.5 or a 9 even, much less a 10. There's no 10s ever graded. Jimmy Ringo. And then the last 2 cards I have here for the set. This is a awesome card here. This is a 50 Bowman Tony Canadeo. Pretty iconic card. Also has his number retired for the Packers. Population of only 7. It's a grade of an 8.5. 4 graded higher. There's no 10s of this card ever graded. Actually, just recently, I'd say in the last 6 months, there have been 2 9s graded because the population went up by 2. It had been at 2 for a long time, and now it's at 4. So I've never actually seen one of those 9s pop up yet, though, so I'm kind of keeping my eyes open. This particular card I've upgraded from a 6 to an 8 to an 8.5. And I think I'm going to be sticking with an 8.5. If a 9 ever does come up, it's one of those cards that might sell $5,000 to $8,000. Something like that. These are very tough to find centered and pristine looking, but this one fits that bill. Great card. I think I picked this one up from Mile. Actually, I think I got it from Memory Lane Auctions, this particular card, about a year ago. And then we've got another card here, Clark Hinkle. That's the final card here we have in the set, 1935 National Chickle, grade of an 8, pop of 18, only 2 graded higher. Those are both 9s. These are pretty scarce, obviously, from the 35 Chickle set. Was happy to find it when I did. Definitely one of the cornerstone cards of the set. So that's pretty much it for the NFL Hall of Famers in this set. So what I'll finish up with talking about is a couple players that are not in the Hall of Fame yet and that are retired and that have the best shot of getting in. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is pretty much going to be a no-brainer in the Hall of Fame. He's the all-time leader in the NFL in efficiency rating, but he's still currently playing, so I'm not going to talk about him. I'll talk about a couple other guys. The first guy here is Leroy Butler, 1990 action-packed. Leroy Butler, strong safety for the Packers, 4-time Pro Bowler, and 4 times All-Pro, member of the 90s All-Decade team. 38 interceptions, 20.5 sacks, 13 forced fumbles, and a Super Bowl championship. His numbers are pretty consistent with some of the other players that are in the secondary. So he might be a good option to make it into the Hall of Fame at some point. Maybe a little bit better option is this guy, Jerry Kramer. Have this card in a 10. This card's population of only 2 in the world. Super stoked to grab this card about a year or 2 ago. One was auctioned off earlier this year, and the card, from what that one went for anyways, has pretty much quadrupled in value from what I bought this one for. 3-time Pro Bowlers, 5 times All-Pro, 60s All-Decade team. Also kicked field goals and extra points. So this guy is at the top of most lists on players that are being snubbed for the Hall of Fame. Of all those 60s Packers, a lot of people think that there's just too many Packers on the team in the 60s and that they didn't want to put another one on, but I think Jerry Kramer is deserving of that honor. He can't help it that he was on a good team. So hopefully in the next couple years he gets into the NFL Hall of Fame and this card shoots up even more, and it would just be better could be good just for his sake, just to make it in finally after all these years. And then the last one here, this is a no-brainer. This is the 98 SP Authentic Charles Woodson. He just retired it was a year ago now he retired, so he's got to wait a couple years, but this guy will probably be first ballot Hall of Famer. 9-time Pro Bowler, 8 times All-Pro between first and second team. Also Defensive Player of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, member of the 2000s All-Decade team. His stats are off the charts. 65 interceptions, 20 sacks, 33 forced fumbles, which is just insane, and 13 defensive touchdowns, which is also insane. And not to mention his college career. Won the national championship in '97, Heisman Trophy winner, Walter Camp, Nagurski, Bednarik, and Jim Thorpe Award winner. So one of my favorite players of all time, along with Reggie White. I'm a defensive guy, so I like the defensive players. Along with Reggie White, I'd say Reggie White and this guy, from players that I've watched, they're special. I haven't seen many players better than those particular players, watching them play live. So that's about it. I know this video got kind of long here, working on 15 minutes, but just kind of wanted to talk about each card in the set and give the set as a whole just some time to be talked about and be seen, just because it was such a fun set to put together, and there's so many great players in Packers history, obviously. So with that being said, any questions, don't hesitate to ask, and I hope you guys all have a great day. Thanks for watching.